Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. Let's imagine together this scenario. It might sound scary, but let's just open our imagination. Today your web application is working perfectly fine. The next day, boom, your application is offline and attackers are in. But here is the scary part. They did not break into your server, but they walked right through your front door. This means they were able to access your data and leak your database and have access to your server. And unless you have something in front protecting it, you're wide open. So this is the topic of our today's video. Today we will talk about a tool or something that needs to be there for any web application or for any server. And with no further ado, the topic is Web Application Firewalls. So in this video, we will see in details and we will have a deep dive and understand what is a web application firewall and also what are the tools and the solutions available to use it. I will also walk you through step by step to install and set up a web application firewall to protect your application. But the best part is we will also use it in our application, the one that we are building together. So you can find the different videos in this playlist. So later on in the playlist, we will deploy our application and we will also set up a web application firewall in front of it so we can secure more and more our web application. So now, if you're new to this channel, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Enable the notification so that you get notified every week about the videos that I'm publishing so you can learn more and improve your skills and yourself. Also, I would like to ask you to share this video with your friends and don't forget to drop a comment and let me know what you think about this video and about the tool that we will explore together and the importance of having a web application firewall in front of your web application. So now, with no further ado, let's get started. Alright, so before diving into the details and the demo of today's video, let's first understand and let me explain to you what is a WAF or Web Application Firewall. So a Web Application Firewall, or WAF for short, is a specialized security solution designed to protect web application by inspecting, monitoring and filtering HTTP and HTTPS traffic between the client, which can be a browser or a bot, and your web server. So the Web Application Firewall operates on the layer 7 by analyzing each HTTP request, including headers, URLs, body, cookies, and so on and so forth, to detect suspicious patterns. It functions typically as a reverse proxy, sitting between the internet and your backend services. And it's also available in multiple forms like a software module, appliance, or a cloud service, often with fully customizable security policies. Now, let's answer this important question. Why you need a WAF or a web application firewall? First, it protects against application layer attacks. So most data breaches occur through application vulnerabilities like SQL injection, XSS or cross-site scripting, or broken authentication. So a WAF blocks malicious payloads before they hit your backend. And also it defends unpatched or legacy apps. So a WAF offers a virtual patch protecting vulnerable apps that can't be immediately updated. Also, the next one is counteracts zero-day threats. Many WAFs, including AI-enhanced ones, detect zero-day attacks using behavioral and semantic analysis rather than just signatures. Then, mitigates DDoS and bot attacks. It is positioned at the edge. A WAF can offload traffic load with rate limiting, bot challenges, CAPTCHAs, and even block lists. Next, it supports compliance and data protection. So it helps meet standards like PCI DSS, which requires protection at web-facing interfaces and other logging or auditing capabilities. And finally, it enhances visibility and centralized control. So a WAF provides insights into HTTP traffic, enabling centralized management of security rules across multiple apps, which is ideal for hybrids or multi-cloud setups. But here, let me tell you a little bit about some limitations to be aware of. So the first thing is careful configuration required. What this means? So overly restrictive rules can break legitimate traffic, while lax rules let threats slip. So you need to be careful about this point. Also, it's not a replacement for secure coding. So a web application firewall supplement but don't replace secure development practices. So you need to really take care of your application security and your coding security. So this is really important. And finally, it has a continuous tuning needed. So threats and apps evolve, so policies also must evolve. So the tool we are talking about today is called SafeLine WAF, or SafeLine Web Application Firewall. So the first thing, it's an open source. So here you can see on GitHub, you can check the source code and also like the installation instructions, which will go through it step by step. And also here you have a live demo. So if you click on this one, you will see the dashboard. So we will come back to this one later on and explore it step by step. So now let's go back in here. So here, SafeLine is a self-hosted web application firewall to protect your web apps from attacks and exploits. And here, it typically protects web apps from attacks such as SQL injection, XSS or like cross-site scripting, code injection, OS command injection, and so forth. So like you can see the list already in here. But let's see how it works. So here we have, for example, illegitimate users or like search engine spiders, and we have here attackers or malicious crawlers or vulnerabilities scanners. So first they will access the internet, and in order to access your application, we install or like we set up our SafeLine firewall between your servers and the internet. So it will filter all the incoming requests and traffic, and it will detect and decide which one is malicious requests and which are the okayish requests, let's say. So if the request is legitimate, so it will be forwarded to the server, otherwise it will be rejected, and also it will be logged and monitored on the dashboard. So here, if you want, you can go through the documentation and read more about SafeLine, and also you have some screenshots, you have the link again for the live demo, and you can see also the different features. So we will come back to this later on and check all that. So now if we want to deploy our web application firewall, so you can deploy it locally, but here we have some dependencies. So let's go through them at first. So here we have a minimum configuration requirements. So the first thing, it only operates on Linux machines. So it does not work on Windows or Mac OS and so on and so forth. So like you only need a Linux machine, which is completely fine, because at the end of our playlist or like video series, we will deploy our application, and the deployment will be happening on a Linux machine. So like we are safe on this side. But if you want to play with it locally, I recommend you do the same. So this is what I will show you in this video. We will install Linux on a virtual box, on a virtual machine, and we will use it and access our web application firewall from there. So like there is always a solution to do that. So then the next requirement is you should have an infrastructure or like instruction architecture as an x86 or ARM64. For the software dependency, you need to have Docker installed and also Docker Compose with version 2. All right. And the minimum requirement for the environment, you need at least 1 CPU core and 1 GB of RAM and at least 5 GB disk space. And then we can follow these commands in order to install our web application firewall. So here you have the instruction to check the requirements. And also here, for when it comes to the deployment, honestly, it's really straightforward, and we will go through the steps one by one. So you have two options: whether you use the automatic deploy, so you just need to run this command in your Linux terminal, or you can also do it manually. So in order to do it manually, you need first to download this Docker Compose file, or also you can find it in here in the documentation or in the source code. All right. So in the source code, you have this Compose YAML file. All you need to do is to copy paste this file and just execute it. So let's go back in here, and also you just need so all you need to do is just to follow the instructions. Honestly, they are really straightforward, and just after executing the different commands, you will have your application up and running, or like your WAF up and running. So to do that, as I mentioned, I will use a virtual machine. So here I have my virtual machine installed and ready to use. So let me first log in. So for that, let me also maybe show you what I did in here. So as I mentioned, I have a virtual box and I installed Ubuntu with the latest version. I think it's the version 25 or something like that, which like I took the latest available version for now. And then I just install it and run my virtual machine. So it's completely straightforward. So like no details, nothing special you really need to do. And also here I have the same documentation open in here, so I can at least copy paste the commands quickly into my operating machine, or like into my virtual machine. All right, so as I mentioned, the first thing we need to do is to do the following. So just copy this command and execute it in your terminal. So let's open the terminal in here, and all I need to do is to paste this command and hit the enter. One thing, you need to run it as root. So let me do that. So all I need to do is to add the sudo command. So sudo and then this one. So, and then it will prompt me for the password. So I'm setting the password right now, and now it will start. Okay, let me write again the password. All right, so now the installation will start. So as you can see here, it will start the installation, and then it will ask you what you want to do. So here, if it's already installed and you rerun the script, you can whether uninstall it or upgrade, repair, restart, and so on and so forth. So now let's choose the option 1, since it is a fresh installation. So let's hit enter, and then it will try to give you some instructions. So by default, it will try to install the WAF under this destination. So you can change it, or like just hit enter to use the default destination. So let's use the default one. So all right, so already exists. So I think I have something here. All right, so I'm going to stop, and then I will go to /data, and then let me check. All right, so I'm gonna delete this one. So I'm gonna remove the folder. So let's say SafeLine, and now it's removed. So let's start the script again. So now let's start it again. Hit 1 again to install. Let's give the default, and now the magic will happen. So it will start. First it downloads the Docker Compose YAML file, and then it will update the .env file, and once everything is done, it will start pulling the Docker images. So this might take some time because it's a virtual machine, and maybe the internet access is not as speed as a normal or like a real machine. So let's wait for that, but I think it's going. So now it's pulling these different images. So we have Luigi, FVM, Chaos, Postgres, MGT, Detect, and T-Engine. So it's pulling all the different images, and now it's starting the different containers. So let's wait a little bit, and then we will come back once it's done. All right, so the installation is done, and here it will automatically print the default username and password. So I'm going to copy the password, and I will show you, in case you forget the password, how you can reset it up. So now our SafeLine Web Application Firewall is available under this address. So let's go and click on Open Link. And here it will open my browser with this like pointing to this address. So now the first thing that you need to do is to agree to the startup, or like to the license. And then let's type the username and password. So I'm going to paste the password. So this is the one I just copied. Also, if you forget the password, all you need to do is to click on forget your password, copy this command, and execute it again. So let's do it together. So let's assume that I forgot my password. So it will execute this container, and it will reset the admin. Once the admin is resetted, it will print out the new password. So let's copy it again, and let's use this one instead. All right, so let's paste this one again, and now let's log in. So let's click on that now. So now for this one, you will need a license in order to get all the features. All right. So here we have two options. So whether we use the light one or use the Pro. And also you can get a 7-day trial license, or also for this video, I'm giving you, I'm offering a giveaway, which is like a 3 months free license. So you can explore all the features of the WAF or the SafeLine WAF. All right, so this is a code. So this is a license for 7-day trial. So you can also use it. So let's try to use this one and see if it works. So now I'm going to paste this one. Also, I will add the license, or like the 3 months free trial license, in the description of this video, and so you can use it. So now let's activate, and now it's activating or permitting the license. So it's checking the license whether it's fine or not. So I think I already used that. So I'm going to type a new license. So I will use the 3 months giveaway license. All right, so now I will try to activate using the 3 months giveaway license, and this one should work. So now everything is done. Now let me copy again the password, since I think I kind of lost it. So I'm going to copy this one. And now all I need to do is to type admin and then the password that is provided. So let's paste and let's click on login. So let's click not now. Now we have everything up and running. So our web application firewall is up and running. And here, let's go a little bit through the dashboard. So as you can see here, you have 90 days expiry. So like it's available for 90 days, which is 3 months, as I mentioned before. And here you have the first statistics. So here you have some geolocation, so you can also explore the map in 3D or in 2D. And here you will see all the geolocations and where the requests are coming from. So we will check also the demo, so we get more data, so we can explore a little bit more in details what we have in here. All right, so now we have this dashboard, and we can see here like the rate or the percentage of the bad requests, or also like the internal server errors, and so on and so forth. So if you scroll a little bit down here, you can see the user client, the response status, the query per second, and you have so much details in this dashboard. Next, when you go to applications, so this is where you can configure your application or add your application. So when you click on add application, here you can select if your application only uses the port 80 or it's also secure. So if you want to try just locally and your application is not secure yet, you can just remove this one. And here you need to type your domain. So let's say, for example, my domain is myapp.online, something like that, and I just need to add it. And then you have the reverse proxy. So the reverse proxy, it should mainly be this one, so like the URL of your WAF application. So let's try to do that. I'm just want to show you what you need to do, and then it's gonna be 10.0.2.15 and then colon 9443. And then once you're done, you should see this green check. So for example, if I use a different port or like a wrong one, it will say that it's not able to access the upstream server. So you need to pay attention and make sure that everything is up and running. So finally, you can give, for example, a test or an application name. So let's call it Alibu test app, something like that, and just hit submit. So once the application is created, you see here like a bunch of details. So this means that your application is secured, and here it's secured against these different types of attacks. So SQL injection, XSS, file uploading, file including, PHP, and so on and so forth. So like you have a full list. But you can also customize this one by enabling or disabling, or like setting it to an audit mode. It depends on your needs. So like you can do whatever you want with that. But let's leave everything as is for now. Also, there is one feature that I like so much, which is the authentication. We will come back to this in just a few seconds. Let's go through the different UIs, or like the different views of our dashboard. So here you see the list of attacks. So like, for example, if someone tries to do some SQL injection, it will be blocked, and then you will see the result in here. So you can see the details, where is it coming from, and so forth. Also, you have the allow and deny. So for the allow and deny, you have a list of IP addresses, domains, and so forth, like what you want to allow and what you want to deny. And for example, here you have, if you want to add a custom rules, you can also create one. So if I want to add a rule, so let's say for example I want to allow or like to deny, and let's just give it a name. And if I want to deny a list of source IP, so let's say for example I want to deny, so for example, anything coming from the IP address, let's say 1.1.1.1, it's just like an example. So any request coming from this IP address will be blocked. Also for the operator, you have equals, does not equal, fuzzy match, CIDR, or you can also like use CIDR blocks, and so forth. And also for the mesh target, we have multiple things. You have the IP, you can use also the URL or the path. Also you can block some type of request like get, post, headers, and so forth. Also, I think this rule or like this part is really important. So just in case, for example, you have an application and you want to make it available only for specific regions, or like for specific countries, or like for specific IP addresses. So you can just click on allow in here, or like deny rule. So for the allow, you want to allow all the traffic only coming from some specific address. So like you can add multiple ones. All right. So like whether in an and condition or an or condition. So for example, I want to allow this IP address or this IP address or this IP address, and so forth. So this is a really cool feature which helps really a lot. So let's close this one. And here also you see that you see the HTTP flood. Also you can see the rate limiting in here. So maybe let's close this one. Also you have rate limiting in here. So also this web application firewall acts also as a rate limiter. So for example, when you go to the settings in here, you can do it based on access limiting, attack limiting, or error limiting. So you can limit the incoming requests to your application via the firewall. Also, you have a waiting room in here. You can also check this one later on and leave me in the comments what are the most important features, or like the features you liked the most. Now let's move to the authentication. So the authentication is really something interesting, and I like this feature so much. So here you can add authentication to your application. Let's say that your application, or like the deployed application, is just a backend application, and you have, or like you expose Swagger, for example. But you want to add, for example, an authentication layer before even accessing the Swagger. So you can come to the authentication in here, and then you can click on settings, and you can add a user. So let's say, for example, Ali, and password, let's say just password, just to make it simple. You can also add the email and the phone number, and you can even enforce using OTP. All right, so let's create this user. So maybe let's call it Alibu as usual. So now when we create this user, so we have this user and we can give him access to few things. So now when we go back to the applications, and here in our test application, there is something called auth. So when I click on this one, by default, it's not enabled. So it's disabled by default, but just click in here to enable it. So now for my application, or like for this application, for my app.online, I want to enable authentication. So this means what? So this means that every user should use a password. All right. So here, for example, you can add need to improve access, or like access directly after authentication. You can also add some conditions, and so forth. You can even enforce, or like force enabling TOTP. So let's save this one. And now let's try to access this. All right. So maybe it's just something I added, but let's try to access this one. So here you see that you are requested to add a password. All right. So here, as you can see in here, so it's protected via SafeLine. All right. So now if I type, for example, Alibu, and I will type like a wrong password. So when I click on sign in, so this will go through the web application firewall, and then it will check if the user is okay or like is allowed to access this one. So now if I click on password and just click sign in, so nothing will happen. It will just forward me to my application, but since I have nothing, so that's why I have like nothing to display in here. But this feature is really important, and it adds also like another security layer to our application. So now if we go back to the statistics, for example, as I mentioned, for now we have nothing since we did not try it, but let's go to the demo web or like to the demo page and try to see more data from there. All right, so now when we go back to the documentation or even in here to the Docker to the Git repository, and if you scroll down, you see the link to the live demo, or it's also available in here. So like it's up to you where you want to access it from. So this is the dashboard, and as I mentioned, you have like a 2D and 3D view. Let's go with the 2D, which is like, I guess it's simpler. And here, so for this demo, we see that we have so many traffic coming from all over the world. So here, for example, from Russia, you have 3 visits. From Spain, you have 59,519 visits, and so forth. And also, like you see that we have 61.3 K requests, we have 100 visitors, and so forth. And also, like you see the percentage rate in here. And so for now, like we don't have any 500s, but we have a lot of 400s, which is the 400, it might be like unauthorized or like even bad requests. But now if we go to applications, and for example, let's check one of them. So maybe we have a dashboard or like even a demo right here. So here we see that we have the attacks. You can also add or like enable the authentication, as I mentioned before. So when you try to access this application, which is like already in the demo, you will be prompted to be authenticated. And now if we go to the attacks, so here we have some types of attacks, or like we have some attacks in here, and we can check the details in here. So for example, we can see 4 attacks, and 4 blocked attacks, exactly, like to be precise. So the first one, it's like an SQL injection, and here we can see the details. So like the user tried to access from France with this IP address, and at this time, so maybe if we click on the details in here, we can see much more details. So from this address, from this location, the user tried to do some SQL injection, and as you can see here, it was denied by the Web Application Firewall. Also, we can see here, for example, we have a file include or like cross-site scripting, SQL injection again, and so forth. So here for each domain or for each application, you will see the count or like the different attacks, and also like when this happened, and so forth. So like you have so much details. And also in the allow and deny, as I explained before, so for each domain or for each application, you have some rules. And if you open the details, for example, you see if this one is a deny rule or like it's a allow rule, and so forth. So like you really can do everything and anything you want. And also, if we go again to the authentication, we can see a list of users who can access what exactly. So also, like we can see the IP address where it is located exactly, and we have so much details. So honestly, this Web Application Firewall is really awesome. And also the good thing, it's an open source one, so you can use it freely. And also, if you want to play with the pro features, as I mentioned before, I will leave you the 3 months giveaway license in the description of this video, so you can play around with it. And also the good thing, we will use this Web Application Firewall later on when we deploy our application. So we will use it like in a real world example. So like we will try to see and play around more in details with this Web Application Firewall. Alright guys, so that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope as always you learned from it. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and also don't forget to share and like the video. And of course, and mainly, just leave me your feedback about the tool. Also go ahead and try it and let me know what are the features that you liked the most, and what are the features that you want to see in the upcoming videos when we deploy our application to our VPS server. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.